So usually when I meet people who have started farms or have been inspired by me to start farms, a big percentage of them actually tell me that, whoa, thank God that I met you, thank God that I met your YouTube channel, I'm enjoying my farm, I'm enjoying the farm work, I'm enjoying owning and running a farm, and honestly, your advice has been very great and my farm is profitable. I'm generally loving it. But once in a while, I find a few people who will be like, whoa, I can never go back to farming. I can't believe that I followed your advice. What I did was really terrible. The farm really frustrated me. I lost money. It was crappy. I hated it. And I can never go back to it. You can tell it to other people, but you can never convince me to go back into farming. And I'm like, whoa, slow down. What's wrong? Like, why was your farm in such a position? Why it sucks? Why it stresses you? So after interacting with a lot of these people and also drawing from my own experiences, I've come up with a few things that you must do if your farm sucks. I mean, no one wants to own a farm that sucks. Usually, if someone is owning a farm, they want to own something that takes them away from stress, you know. When you're tired of doing the work in your office, when you're tired of doing a lot of that heavy work, you want to come back to something that's soothing, something that makes you money, and something that you enjoy. So if your farm sucks, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the things that I think you need to do, the things that you need to change to ensure that you regain the love for the farm. So stick around right through to the end. And by the way, if you're wondering who the hell I am, I'm Dr. Daniel. I'm a retired medical doctor turned into a farmer. I used to practice medicine, but I noticed that, well, I think I like farming better. So I decided to follow my passion for farming, and in that path, I've actually been able to start a huge 60,000 capacity chicken farm. I've also started this farm, which is about a 10,000 capacity chicken farm. I've raised over 800 goats and sheep, raised hundreds of heads of cattle, and well, I understand what I'm doing. So if this is your very first time on the channel, come on, hit that subscribe button, smash the notification bell, that way you never miss out on an upload. So if your farm sucks, the problem is usually one of three things. Number one, it's not making money. Number two, the management of the farm is really stressing you. And number three, it's not growing. So we're going to go through each and every one of those things, see where the problem could be, and see where you can actually fix it so that you start enjoying your farm and, well, it becomes really profitable. So if the problem is that you're not making money, then you need to get back to the drawing board. You need to get back to the drawing board and assess one of 6 things that we're going to be talking about. Most probably, your problem is one of these 6 things. We're going to talk about them and see how you can correct them. First thing, are you in the right field? You can own a farm, but the farm that you're running is actually not the right field for wherever you are, for the population that you're living in, you know, for the kind of people that you're dealing with, the kind of people that you want to sell to. I'll give you an example. If you're in an area where the biggest population of the area is a Muslim population and you're running a huge pig farm, you're just wasting money. You're certainly wasting money. Number one, the likelihood is that the staff that are going to be working there, a lot of them are going to have to be Muslims. So you're going to be segregating the Muslims. So you're going to be getting staff that are not Muslims. So you're literally giving yourself a smaller sample space to pick stuff from. Secondly, they're not going to be consuming the project. But thirdly, they're going to be antagonizing the farm because for them it's a taboo. They hate it, they don't enjoy it, they don't like it. If you're in a community where people don't eat mutton, for example, for me in my country, there are communities where people don't eat mutton. It's not huge communities, but there are countries where people completely don't eat mutton. You're in such a community, you're literally just wasting your time. So you need to make sure that you're in the right field. The area where you are, you're actually doing the right thing. If you're in a very deep rural setting, very deep rural setting, and you are raising broilers, you're just wasting your time. So are you actually in the right field? But secondly, are you also in the right field for your desires, for your passion? You might be doing something simply because people told you that you should be doing that thing. But if it's not something that you love and you enjoy, you're not going to make the very best decisions for it because you don't give it a lot of time. You don't focus too much on it. Your mind is always divided. You're thinking this way, that way, this way, that way. So you're not making the right thought pattern that will bring you the profits that you do require. So you need to make sure that you're in the right field. Sit down and think about it. Whatever I'm growing, whether I'm growing crops, whatever crops I'm growing, whatever I'm growing, if it's animals, am I in the right field? Is this what I actually want to do? If it's not what you want to do, or if it's not what actually will become profitable from that area, then you need to leave it and then redecide what are you going to divert to, what are you going to be doing instead of what you've been doing. Second, are you in the right location? Now this ties so much into the first one. Now right location could also mean a lot of things. Sometimes it's not only about the market, but it means a lot of other things. It's about the weather. For example, if you're in a very arid place where the temperatures raise up to 50 degrees Celsius and you want to raise chickens in an open-sided house, you're only trying to do something that's 100% going to fail because chickens cannot handle such high temperatures. Or if If you're in a place that never receives rainfall and you start trying to grow crops, you're just wasting your time unless you're going to be using irrigation and you're not going to be depending on rainfall. So are you in the right area for the kind of farming that you're going to be doing? Yeah, you need to make sure that your farm is placed in the correct area. Sometimes everything else is okay, but the raw materials you need are not available and you need to transport them really long distances to avail them to that area. What that means is that growing the farm for you is going to be very expensive. Running the farm is going to be very expensive because simply transporting raw materials from a really far place simply means that you're going to have to put in a lot of money. So you need to calculate that. Are you in the right place? Third, are you selling to the right people? You need to make sure that you're selling to the right people. I know a lot of people who actually run farms. They do start farms and they have everything that they need, but they are selling their product to the wrong people. And do you know who the wrong people usually are? Middlemen. Those are the guys who are going to kill you now. Selling to middlemen is not the problem. I personally do sell through middlemen a lot of times, but you need to make sure that you're selling to the correct middlemen. You need to know how to deal with the middlemen, and if you can avoid the middlemen, skip them as much as possible. I mean, just skip them. You need to understand that because they take a very huge cut of what could have been your profit. So you need to avoid the middlemen, skip them as much as possible. Just throw them out. So make sure you sell to the right people. That's when you get the hugest profit. That's when you get to retain the biggest amount of money. Fourth, do you have the right team? Yes. Now, the right team can also play a huge role in you making money or not making money, right from production to the sales point. If we start at production, for example, if your team is not enthusiastic, they don't do the work that's supposed to be done, then your farm is not going to be productive. If they're supposed to be putting manure or weeding the crops and they don't weed them, then you're going to grow a lot of weeds and then the crops are not going to be productive and then you're going to be making money. If they're supposed to be spraying them, maybe using pesticides to kill the pests, and then they don't do it on time, then your crops are not going to be getting the right results. If they're supposed to maybe spray the animals, if you're having a cattle farm, let's say twice every week or once every week, they're supposed to spray the cattle, but then they don't spray them, then you're getting into chaos because then the animals are going to get sick and then you're going to get into trouble. So do you have the right team to work with you? Also, sometimes the team that you have is actually the one stealing from you. You're making everything correctly, but they do steal from you. Yeah, they don't report the sales. If it's someone in the sales department, they don't report the sales. Or sometimes they sell at really crappy prices, low prices, because they just want to sell the amounts, but they don't think about the margins. Or sometimes they just, steal the stuff directly from the farm, maybe the management of the farm and things like that. They just steal the products themselves directly from the farm. So having the right team on the farm is very important on ensuring that you actually make money. The fifth thing is, are you growing too fast? So if you're growing too fast, that can also be a problem. You see, there is a speed of growth which becomes too fast for your own survival. That is something that I've personally experienced. So if I'm telling it to you, it's because I do know about it. You need to make sure that you understand the market. You understand the dynamics of everything that flows around the area where your farm is, the people who you sell to, and everything involved in running a business. Being able, for example, owning 3 cows that give you milk is very different from owning 30 cows that give you milk. It could be quite easy for you to sell milk from 3 cows, but selling milk from 30 cows is very different. It usually means you're going to have to bring your own prices down because usually you're going to have to sell to a smaller market for a huge number of animals. So you're going to have to produce too much milk and people are going to come to you and you're like, well, I don't want my milk to get spoiled. So what do? I reduce the prices. You need to make sure that you've laid the foundation for you to scale up. So if you grow too fast, most likely you're going to bring problems for yourself. You need to make sure that as you grow the business, you've also grown the market, you've also grown the expertise, the people who are running the farm, the people who are doing the business in the farm, the people who are doing the nitty-gritties inside the farm, the management. They have also understood what it means to run a bigger operation. So it's very important that you don't grow too fast for your own good. And number 6, are you following the right patterns for running a farm? I'll explain what this is. You see, for example, in poultry farming, it's very important the seasons when you do buy feed and when you don't buy feed. You could have the money, you could have everything, but if you just decide to buy the feed, the raw materials at any time, then you're going to take a very huge cut into your profit. For example, if you buy grain, the maize that you didn't need for your animals in the season when people are harvesting, you could literally save 50%, or sometimes you could save 3 times on what you could pay later on when the prices really rise. So you need to make sure that you're buying at the right time. When you buy actually influences so much on how much money you're making. For me, for example, when I buy at the times when people are harvesting and keep that maize to utilize it for the times when people are not harvesting and the prices have risen, usually I can pay half of what I could have paid. Sometimes I could pay just a third of it. So that means I get to keep 2/3 of the money that I would have lost out by simply buying when the prices have risen. So you need to understand the patterns of the area where you are. You understand? You need to understand the patterns. Sometimes it means not growing crops or not having animals at a particular time, because you know at that particular time a lot of them die or no one buys and things like that, and then stocking them at a particular time. So you need to understand the patterns of the area you're in. Now the second problem is if you have problems in your management system. If management on your farm is the problem and it's stressing you and your farm sucks, then you need to look at a few things. These 4 particular things, let's get into them. First is your hiring system. You see, if your hiring system is wrong, then you're going to hire the wrong people. Isn't it obvious? If you don't scrutinize properly the people who you need to hire into the business or into the farm, then you're going to be hiring the wrong people. If, for example, you're hiring people who haven't gone to school, they don't even know how to do any simple math, and you're putting them in the sales department, what do you expect? Yeah, they won't even be able to calculate money. They'll sell stuff and give you the wrong figures. They'll go to sell and they'll steal from them. So you need to make sure you're hiring the right people. If on the farm, for example, the manager doesn't know how to keep records, he doesn't know how to handle records, he doesn't know how to read records, or the manager doesn't know how to actually supervise people and motivate people and get them to work, then you have the wrong kind of person, completely the wrong kind of person. So you need to make sure that you scrutinize and follow through to ensure that you have the right management. So how do you make sure that you implement the hiring system? With the hiring system, first of all, you need to make sure that everyone understands their role when you're getting them. You hire the correct person for the role. You don't hire a manager to do a laborer's work. I mean, you don't hire a manager and tell him to get a hoe and come and start digging around. Once in a while, it's okay for him to come and start digging around, but if he's coming to do that, he's not going to do it with his whole heart, because he's thinking that his rank is higher than that. And also, you don't hire a laborer and make him a manager. He's going to come when he's too proud, he feels like he has too much authority, he starts beating up the guys, he starts pushing them too much, and in the end, they're going to get demotivated and run away. So you need to make sure that you hire the correct person for the correct place. Second, you need to make sure that you throw away the really terrible people. I mean, the really bad people, throw them away. That's part of the whole story. I know a lot of people who have actually met in my time while farming, and these guys have really terrible staff. The guys who work for them, they are really terrible, but they don't throw them away. Why? Because they're being held ransom by these guys. If you're held ransom by your worker, your farm is going to fail, because then they know that they have you in their fist. You have no control over the farm and they can do whatever they want. So first of all, for you to make sure that you're not being held ransom by your workers, you need to make sure that you understand what you're doing on the farm. You understand everything. That way, when the person does something wrong, you can correct them. It's not them to correct you. But secondly, you have the authority to command them on whatever you want. You're not being held ransom because you feel like, if this guy goes, what am I going to be doing on the farm? What will I do? If this person goes away, I'm literally dead. No, you need to make sure that you understand what you're doing, have the authority on the farm, and that way you'll have the power and the ability to fire whosoever you want. Anyone you want fired will be able to go, and anyone you want to be retained on the farm, you'll be able to retain. So fire guys. I mean, if people are not doing the correct things on the farm, fire them, let them go. Third thing, reward the very best. I mean, if someone is doing good on the farm, reward them. How do you reward them? Number one, by compliments, telling them that what they are doing is actually good. It will motivate them. You know, there are some people, some farm owners or some bosses who never ever compliment someone. I mean, someone is doing stuff really good, they're doing their work really good, and they'll never tell them that what they are doing is good. The only thing that they will keep telling them is if something is being done wrong, if something is going wrong, that's when they tell them something. But if something doesn't go wrong, they keep quiet, they don't compliment them. Tell the person that what they're doing is right. Secondly, raise their salary. I mean, raise their pay. What motivates someone more than, you know, giving them a bit more money? So if someone is doing well and they're getting the farm better, then give them more money. I mean, raise their pay, slowly by slowly. It doesn't need to be by a huge percentage. It could be by 5%, and then after some time by 5%. Those small increments actually motivate someone and make them feel like they're appreciated. And point number 4, always explain to the team the rationale of doing particular activities. Very important. When you have your team, when you have your manager, when you have your workers on the farm, it is very important that they all understand why they are doing what they are doing. If they don't understand why they are doing what they are doing, they'll only do it when you tell them, and that's very stressing, guys. So explain to the team why they are doing particular things, and then they are more likely to implement it. And finally, if your problem is that the farm is not growing, then you need to go back to the drawing board and look at some things that might be affecting you. First of all, are you selling the right product? Now, just like the problem could be when it is with money, if you're not selling the right product, then your farm is not going to grow, because that means that the product that you have has reached its limit. There are particular things of which you can only do too much of that thing, and once it reaches there, you can't go beyond it. You understand? So are you selling the right product? Understand that. Study that properly in the area where you are. Can you actually sell more of it, or you're pushing against the rocks? You're pushing against something that literally will never move. So you need to make sure that you're selling the right product. Secondly, again, are you in the right place? If the farm is not growing, it might be that the limit in the area where you are is actually that. I mean, you can't expand it beyond that. Maybe the population in the area is a small population and the people are actually not able to consume the product that you're selling or whatever you're going to be doing, or you can't get the correct skill or people with the correct training to actually bring things forward in that area. You just reach the limit of what the people can do. So maybe you need to move. Maybe you need to go to another area where you can get better trained people, better skilled people, people who are better able to actually implement your things. And then finally, number 3, are you reinvesting money into the business? You see, sometimes people actually expect things to grow without them investing money into the business. For growth to happen, you need to invest. You don't expect to be doing the same exact thing that you've been doing before and then expect different results. If you want different results, then you need to reinvest into the business. So are you actually reinvesting money into the business? If you're not doing those 3 things, then most likely your farm is going to remain stagnant. But you also investigate the stuff that you do have on the farm. And what are you investigating for? Stealing. Now this, from my experience, again, is something I've noticed is very common. A lot of times people's farms don't grow, they remain stagnant, and they become comfortable with it, and the people are stealing. What usually happens is that these people notice that, oh, the boss actually doesn't mind, and so they'll keep you at that level. Your chickens, for example, will be laying at 95%, and they only report to you 80%, and they know that you're comfortable with it, and then they just keep maintaining it at that level. They don't pull it too low so that you get stressed about it and you're like, whoa, what's happening? But then they make sure that they don't take it to the very top because they know that you're comfortable with it. So investigate. I mean, come in yourself sometimes. Do the work on the farm yourself just to investigate if people are actually stealing from you or not. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I made a video about how to raise a great team on the farm. Yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, I trust you will enjoy that video. I'll leave a link to that video right here. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell, that way you never miss out on an upload. Catch you very soon with another video. Lots of love. Bye bye.